teen years, not to heroin. I didn't get addicted to heroin until I was about 27. I had been to about probably 50 or 60 rehabs. I could say we climbed Cross Mountain, and I had an experience up there, and I kind of knew that after that experience, I just knew in my heart I was never going to use heroin.
This is Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God, those moments when heaven and earth collide. And I don't think they collide anywhere on the planet more vibrantly, more loudly, more beautifully than here in Medjugorje, Bosnia-Herzegovina. We're finally here. My name is Trapper Jack. This is episode 231, Medjugorje, Experiences Beyond Our Expectations. And yes, we had experiences. You know, it's funny what gets your attention about Medjugorje. What do you hear? Mary's been appearing here every day since 1981. She said, according to the visionaries, what began in Fatima back in 1917 will end here. After her appearances here, she will make no more appearances. Why? Because we are that close to the end of an age. We stayed with Maria, one of the visionaries who's been seeing Mary every day since 1981. We got to access down in the chapel where Mary appears to Maria on a daily basis at 6:40 p.m. in the midst of a rosary. And something happened to me down there I want to share with you that I'm still processing as well. Miracles, of course, are all around us. We have some of that to share with you as well. But we're going to begin where it began back in June 24th of 1981, Apparition Hill. It's rocks and boulders.
Yeah, go a little higher. Go a little higher. There you go.
Okay.
Good. Here, slide to your right. Slide to your right.
Big step up. Now push
There we
off
go.
me. We're good for a little bit here. Little rocks here.
I just looked at Beth and went, oh, this is nuts. Am I going to be able to do this? Yeah, well, I'm doing it. Blind guy's being led up the hill here.
No, but you're going to be fine.
Actually, maybe between the two of you. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, between the two of these guys. Who are these guys? Stephen is going to be to my left. He's my son. And Danny Sheridan, a firefighting friend out of New York, who's back at episode 110. He's to my right, and I'm putting my hand on their shoulders, and up we're going to go. This extremely uneven, ragged, jagged, and all of that. I hear hill, and what do you think of? You think of hill. I think of dirt covered by some grass, and I see Julie Andrews, and the hills are alive with the sea. I see that. This is not that. Apparition Hill here in Medjugorje. It's rock, boulders, craggy edges, sharp edges. It's just crying for you to sprain an ankle or worse, and we're about to head up. This is where everything started. This is where all that we hear about from Medjugorje started, and Mary and miracles and secrets and visionaries and all of that. June 24th, 1981, here at what is now called Apparition Hill. June 24th, feast day of John the Baptist. Prepare the way of the Lord. Some young people, aged 10 to 16, saw this woman up on this hill, and she was carrying something. It looks like a baby, but that doesn't make any sense. She was in this kind of bluish-gray dress, and it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. But some people saw, and the next day more people came back, and sure enough, there she was again. And there were now these 6 young people, aged 10 to 16, who were kind of called, these 6 in particular. And up they went, up all this rocks and boulders, things that if you're healthy, you could do this in about 15 minutes to get up there to where Mary was standing. 15 minutes. Only these kids did it in 2. Unheard of. And there were so many witnesses watching these young people go literally glide up these rocks in 2 minutes to see Mary. She identified herself as the Queen of Peace. She said she needed all 6 of them. They were different. In fact, they didn't even really know each other all that well. 2 of them were kind of close friends, but outside of that, they didn't know a lot about each other here in this small village. She said the reason she had come to Medjugorje is because the faith was so strong here. I can vouch for that. You're swimming in faith here. She said she wanted to intercede for them. The kids called her Gospa, in Croatian, Our Lady. They prayed an Our Father, Hail Mary, and Glory Be together. Mary not participating in the Hail Mary, of course. And they talked about, and Maria still talks about, how her voice is like music. You know, back in 1981, this was all communist back then, all of this. And the last thing they wanted to hear was about some woman from heaven and all of that nonsense, right? So they needed to make sure that these kids were deemed nuts. So they got a doctor to examine the kids, a woman, an atheist, of course, a communist, and she examined the kids. And she came up here in Apparition Hill, and she had the kids ask this woman questions. You know the end result? The doctor said the kids were completely normal. She believed them. She went back into the church and joined the choir. That's pretty good. This lady who looks about 22 years of age and beautiful. In fact, early on, the kids asked, how is it you're so beautiful? How is that? And she said, I'm beautiful because I love. And you will be beautiful because you love. As is the case in most stories like this, whether it's Our Lady of Guadalupe or Lourdes or whatever, the local priest did not believe what was being said, and then later became their greatest supporter. There was one time early on in the apparitions where other young people wanted to be able to touch Our Lady, and she said, okay. And they got closer and they put their hands where the dress was of Our Lady Mary, and black fingerprints showed up, all these black handprints and fingerprints, and Mary rose up out of the gathering. And later she said the black fingerprints represented the unconfessed sins of those who were touching, which created then this great lineup at the confessional. Early on, there was this incredible miraculous healing. Some parents brought up their young one who could not hear or walk, and they asked for Mary's intercession, and it looked like nothing had happened. But the next day, the mother was back with the child giving thanks because the child was now speaking and was now walking. We are going to, well, you have to have a miracle story here, right? Right?
I never went to jail, but I was like locked away in an institution or something like that, like a rehab and or a detox or something like that,
This is Sean, rehab. Try 50 to 60 times in rehab for heroin, cocaine, booze. And then he came here to Medjugorje.
How old were you the first time you came over?
So I'm 43 now. I was 35.
And how early were you addicted? Teen years?
Teen years, not to heroin. I didn't get addicted to heroin until I was about 27, okay. 26, 27, somewhere around there. I had been to about probably 50 or 60 rehabs, maybe more. I was going through like a period of addiction for about 10 years, heroin, cocaine, and everything else, but those were the primary two. I think I had substance abuse problems since I was maybe like 15, since I first started, since I was like 15 or 16.
What was the pain you were trying to cut through?
I don't know. I was just always a shy kid. I was kind of, I don't want to say bullied, but like maybe like, I'm a tall, I'm 6'3", just a tall, goofy kid, and, made kind of like the kid who was made fun of in my pack and everything with all my friends and whatnot, and just like shy and felt like I never belonged. Started drinking a lot in college. I was an athlete in college. I played hockey. We all drank every night. We all partied.
And what made you think that you might find an answer here?
I'm sorry, I haven't spoke about this in a while, so I don't know what to kind of like off the cuff here, but so I had an older brother. He's 12 years older than me, and he got sober at like 27, and he had gone to Medjugorje years later, back probably in the late 90s at some point. And that's where I first heard about it, and it was just always like in the back of my head, like, wow, that sounds cool. Mary's appearing on Earth, but never really put more, never put more of a thought to that. So I came over here. I was probably about 2 months sober, maybe, which, that had happened to me in the past before.
50, 60 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. I had come over here. I wasn't going to Mass. I didn't know how to pray the Rosary. I didn't know what adoration was. I was raised Catholic, but I didn't know any of these things. Never heard of the Divine Mercy Chaplet or anything like that. We get on the bus. I'm the youngest person on the bus by about 20 years. They stopped praying the Rosary, and I immediately thought, like, what have I gotten myself into here? I was like 2 months sober. My head was a mess.
And everyone's praying things you don't know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I didn't know what was going on over here. I had a 2-year-old little girl at home that I couldn't take care of at the time. She was with her mother, and that was part of what brought me here, and I prayed a lot about that. I could say we climbed Cross Mountain, and I had an experience up there, and I kind of knew that after that experience, I just knew in my heart I was never going to use heroin again. I can't really explain it, but I just knew it. And then and I just, I had peace after climbing that mountain.
Describe what happened up there. You said you had an experience.
Well, I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything, but I felt it, I felt a presence. I felt the presence of healing,
Did you know who was there with you? What did it feel like?
Yeah, I knew it was the Blessed Mother. Yeah, I knew it was her. And I kept asking to see signs in the sky, and I didn't see anything. I'd wish that I did, but
Any desire since?
no. It was hard to go home, and I knew I had to go to mass every day, and I did. I went to mass.
Notice the bell started ringing when you said that.
Yeah.
I needed to start going to mass. Here come the church bells.
Yeah. So I don't ever have any thoughts about using heroin anymore.
Congratulations, Sean. This is awesome.
Thank you.
And you keep coming back for more.
I didn't do anything. I really didn't. I mean, I went to all these rehabs at home, and my family paid for a lot. I had a great family, great support system. In the end, I know the healing was because of the prayers that my mother said, the novenas my mother said, the masses my brother had said, my sister and my father, everybody's prayers around me, all the people that love me. And I know that's why I was healed here. It wasn't any actions that I took or anything that I did. It was a blessing and a grace. It wasn't sobriety through hard work or anything like that. No.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love your story.
Thank you.
Now it's a little dicey over here.
Yeah, it's a lot of very angular rocks. I'm up on the level above you.
You guys enjoying the play-by-play, by the way? How you doing this, Annie? How you doing this, girl?
With your wife's help.
Oh, okay.
Steve, you're going to remember this when you're an old man now.
When I'm an old man, when I'm this isn't that a great story from Sean though? Isn't that just a great story of what's going on here at Medjugorje and the miraculous things that happen? And Beth and I were talking about how what do we do? Do we come back to Medjugorje maybe next year, year after? I don't know. Or do we take listeners to the Holy Land? That'd be kind of interesting. I always kind of wanted to go there. I just asked the question, and a song bubbled up seemingly out of nowhere, as I say. And we know where that nowhere is. This was the song that played in my head.
Come, the New Jerusalem.
The New Jerusalem. Medjugorje. What does that mean, the New Jerusalem? 2,000 years ago, the miraculous was happening, right? The church was exploding. Everybody was on the same page within the new Christianity. Well, when you're here in Medjugorje, everybody's on the same page. Everybody's going to Mass. Everybody's going to confessions. Just about everyone is taking communion on the tongue versus in the hand. People are sitting in adoration by the thousands. It's just everyone is on the same page, and it's exploding here. You go to a weekday Mass at home, and you got a handful of people there. You come here, you better get in early because the place is packed 10 minutes before you begin. And there's English-speaking Masses, and there's a Croatian-speaking Mass, and let's see, the Germans, and then the Italians, and it's just... wow, it's just, again, exploding, everybody on the same page, everybody understanding the miracle stories, and everyone's just kind of like, yeah, you're swimming in Jesus, you're swimming in Mary, and it's the New Jerusalem.
The fifth joyful mystery, the finding of Jesus, trapped Jesus in the temple. Our Father who art in heaven.
And we have walked upon the Rosary here. If you're not familiar with the Rosary, made up of the Apostles' Creed, the Lord's Prayer, the Hail Mary, you're quoting Luke, Got a Glory Be in there. You've got, you have the prayer that was added at Fatima back in 1917. Oh, my Jesus, forgive us our sins. Save us from the fires of hell. Lead all souls to heaven, especially those in most need of thy mercy. That is a rosary. It's a Bible in your pocket. And doing the joyful mysteries here, that takes it from the angel Gabriel appearing to Mary, the Annunciation, Mary's big yes. Takes you through, you have the visitation to Elizabeth, you have the birth of Jesus, the presentation at the temple, and then you also have, of course, this fifth joyful mystery here is finding Jesus in the temple. So, like I say, it's a Bible in your pocket. Absolutely beautiful. Often here in Medjugorje, rosaries change color. This happens so often. The silver links will suddenly turn into gold, and we'll talk to Rosie about this. But to introduce Rosie, I have to play something for you that I wasn't getting right away. Another song that bubbled up. It's from Cool Hand Luke, Paul Newman singing while playing the banjo, and it's called Plastic Jesus.
Care if it rains or freezes, as long as I got a plastic Jesus.
It's about driving along with your plastic Jesus on the dashboard. Other lyrics include driving 95 miles an hour isn't scary as long as you have the Virgin Mary, assuring me that I ain't going to hell. What is this? Let me tell you about the song. And it was written as just a poke at Christianity. And it had to do with broadcasts that were out there. And I remember these broadcasts. I was living in California, but they had at a Del Rio, Texas. The studio was in Del Rio, Texas, but the transmitter and tower were in Mexico. So they weren't within FCC guidelines. So it wasn't just 50,000 watts, of AM power. It was 500,000 watts of power just booming out of Mexico, but from Del Rio, Texas. And there would be these Christian programs, and they'd sell prayer cloths and all these kinds of things. So this was a jab at Christian programming and trying to sell, prayer cloths and all this cheap stuff like plastic Jesus that would sit on the dashboard. So all of this said, just to say God has a sense of humor. He's giving me this song playing in my head to take me to Del Rio, Texas, which is where Rosie is from, who had her rosary change colors. In Del Rio, Texas.
In Del Rio, Texas. That's right. That's right.
See What's the story? When did your rosary start going gold or whatever it's doing?
When we started driving to the Divine Mercy, in, what is it?
Divine Mercy, yeah.
The church.
The church. And I don't remember, Submotnik or something like that. I was asked if I would sing the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Mm-hmm. And this red rosary is the one that I use at home for my prayer, my Divine Mercy Chaplet. And when I took it out, I noticed it was starting to turn gold.
Okay. Silver usually?
Yes.
You're talking about the links?
Yes. No, the cross.
Oh, the cross too?
No, yeah. She showed this to me this afternoon.
Okay.
This is much more advanced than was when we looked at it.
Yeah, it's more gold now, and so is the in the middle is Saint Faustina, and that little medal is turning gold.
But it's still in the process?
Oh yes, it's still all the outside of the crucifix is gold.
Have you been taking pictures?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I actually have, and all the little links are now the color of gold.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much all the way through.
All the way through, yeah. And so I had brought it with another rosary to see the comparison, because the other comparison was touched to Saint the great Pope John Paul.
Yeah, they have a relic in that church, right? Second-class relic.
Yeah. Well, this is a gift that I received years ago from a lady in Kentucky when I sent her a veil, and this was all silver. So I said, you know what, I'll take this one so she can compare the gold and the silver. Now that one is turning gold. Wow. Links are
she
gold.
She pulled it out expecting it to be silver. To put them side by side. She goes, wait a minute. This is turning too.
And so your lovely wife went with me and we're under a light looking at it, and she can see also the links. Half of the links are gold, and
half of them are still silver.
And you should keep taking pictures then, so you can kind of see the progression.
Oh yes, the metal in the middle is Pope John Paul, and then the Holy Spirit. And when you turn around, in the Holy Spirit, the middle, the inside of the Holy Spirit is gold, and it's just
the metal's still silver, but the
Holy Spirit is gold. And it is just amazing to look at. And you know, one of the reasons I came is because, like I said, you know, I've been in calling. I've had a message for 5 missions, and I have been praying. You know, please, of course, we shouldn't. Oh, show me a sign. Show me a sign. I was not expecting this. But
you want confirmation. You want clarification.
For clarification, and for both of them to turn gold. Oh, I need to start on those 5 missions.
And this involves books and
no more delay.
Books and prison ministry. And
right,
there's a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a book.
You're not going to be bored for the rest of your life.
Oh, of course not. No. Not at all. It's to take the Rosary to the prisoners, you know, and to, you know, go there and be a shock troop. And then, of course, to start a children's choir, to get our youth involved, to pass out brown scapulars to people and get them enrolled. And then the book that I've written, hopefully I found a publisher.
Besides confirming things and getting a big yes, why you?
Because I said, here I am, and I meant it. I said, here I am, Lord, use me, and I meant it.
Yeah. Thanks, Rosie.
Right. Thank you so much.
You are such a sweetheart.
God bless you.
Walk with a little bit of an upgrade here.
Oh, there's the statue. Mary ahead. We've reached the top.
These guys were phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Trapper, I just wanted to shake your hand. Good job.
God bless you, buddy. Thank you for this.
Thank you for this. Made it. It's old school, man. You had 2 angels.
I have 2 very big angels, 2 strong angels.
That was Aaron Chrysler who put together this trip with Medjugorje pilgrimage.life, and he's doing this barefoot, by the way.
Quicker? Is the steeper quicker?
There are those who say it's easier barefoot because you're kind of springing off the rocks. If you're healthy and all that kind of good stuff. But the rest of us are doing shoes, you know.
Which way are you going?
All right, so we're going to start heading back down again.
Anybody have any idea that was going to be this rocky, though?
Nope. I've been here before.
Yeah, well, that's true. But did you remember it being this rocky?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Nobody really tells you.
This is quite like
They just say it's rocky. Let's hear it for gravity.
All right, you're going to go down a baby step in about a minute.
Dan, explain this to an atheist, would you?
Is she okay?
We're seeing someone looks like they might be down, twisted something maybe.
All right, we're going to go to the left. So.
I'm sorry.
We're going to make a splint.
Somebody's saying that her foot and her leg are not connected; they're separated. Something horrible's just happened.
Where do you get?
We got to wrap it or something. I got a belt. You know what? Chap, let's go down.
Okay.
You can use the walking stick.
I'll use my belt. I can make it.
I got a belt too.
So we'll make a.
Yeah.
We'll make a splint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mr. Fireman and my son are talking about making a splint for this person.
Well, she broke it from the front of the right people.
But she's got. It seems that she has medical people around her.
We're all gonna wait right here. Let me just take a look right here.
Okay.
Okay. Leg.
Oh, it's her ankle.
Oh,
Is it ankle? Oh, it's ankle.
I'm a doctor right here. Oh, I got it.
Oh, her ankle's twisted. Oh, so doctor, yeah, her ankle's twisted. It's not her leg.
No, her ankle's broken.
Yeah, she broke her ankle.
So there's a doctor right there too. It ends up there's a doctor there, there's a nurse there, there's medical people, there's someone who knows how to call 911 in Bosnia, Herzegovina, Medjugorje.
That's the lady that's behind us.
Well, I heard her say medical, but I didn't see her say doctor.
She's a doctor. Do you need something, Doc? You need help? All right, well then I'll leave it to the doctor then.
okay.
That's a greater, higher than a fireman.
Yeah, it is.
Do you know who it is that fell? Do you know who it is?
I don't know her name.
We don't know?
No.
Is she with us though?
Yes.
Yes, she is.
Is she like in our group? I mean, literally our group?
Our group.
You need help? You want to make a splint or anything?
I think the best is going to be when they get up here with their splint because we've got it's out. Yeah, it's out of joint.
As it turns out, both of the lower bones of the leg.
Stay.
They're praying for her. As it turns out, it's Patty, a friend of ours, who's broken both of the lower tibia, fibula, whatever. So basically, she's broken the ankle right there at the foot, and it's not connected anymore. I mean, it's scary.
I'm not putting pressure on it, just putting the plastic around it. Okay. It's going to be okay. I'm not going to move your ankle. Okay. All I'm going to do is wrap this belt around it. Give it some. So.
Am I doing all the wrap?
Okay. Okay. No more. No more.
Love you, girl.
They already called the ambulance.
Okay. If I hold this like this, are you okay?
No, we need to pass.
In a matter of just a few minutes, the ambulance will show up. The paramedic types come up. They get her off this hill incredibly quick. Then they take her to
no, she's still up there.
2 different hospitals to give her the care that they can provide.
Oh, jeez.
Who was that?
Want me to hold him?
Now somebody else just fell.
Go ahead.
You okay?
Gee, it's a dangerous corner.
So over the next several hours, she's going to be looked at by a couple of different hospitals here. She's going to be taken care of as best they can, and then she's going to be getting into a cab and ultimately sent off by herself. She came by herself. Patty came by herself, and a 2-hour drive to an airport, 3 plane rides total, 24 hours more of getting back to a hospital. And, well, let's just let Patty tell the story here.
Something bolted to you, right?
Yes, I do.
What's that bolted to you?
That is holding my leg together.
Oh, how nice.
Because I broke both my bones and like my foot was separated from my leg. So they're going to go in and put pins and rods, but right now it's just holding it all together.
What happened?
Well, I climbed up the mountain. It was a beautiful trip.
A trip is the key word here. We saw you at the top.
And remember, I took a picture. I said, I have photographic evidence that you made it to the top. And I took your picture.
Uh-huh.
And I was coming down, and there was a man standing sort of to the side. So I thought, well, I'll go around him. Never climbed the hill with a backpack before. And so when I went to step around him, the backpack sort of swung. I lost my balance. I bet I didn't step down 8 inches. I was on a rock, and I was stepping down to a little dirt patch. But when I did, I stepped hard, and my ankle just snapped. I mean, I knew it when I stepped down. I knew it was broken. The lady who I was going, or the man who I was going around was with a lady, and I think they're from that area. And she got out her phone and called 911 right away.
Yeah.
And then one lady stopped and she said, I'm a nurse. And then another lady from our group said, I'm a doctor. And they stayed with me until the paramedics got there.
30 seconds probably after it happened is when, my son Danny and I were trundling down, and it's funny, and he sees what's going on, and he says, I'm a firefighter, so he's ready to do something.
Right.
You've already got like a nurse with you. Then there's this woman behind going, I'm a doctor, and it's like, I mean, God's had everyone around you.
Yes.
God just was there.
Yes, God was so in that, in so many ways, God was in this whole accident.
Yeah.
Okay, Jesus, I unite my suffering to yours on the cross. Thank you for this opportunity to suffer. And, the Blessed Mother always says, pray with your heart. Well, I prayed with my foot.
Yeah. I mean, you broke both bones, tibia, fibula, and all that kind of stuff.
All the way through, and there were spiral fractures.
Oh, jeez.
And then I went in for surgery the following morning. I said, are you ready? Get this. Guess where the nurse who cared for me was in my room? Guess where she was from? Bosnia. Can you believe her name was Dee? She was the sweetest person in the whole world. And she spoke with an accent. She kept calling me honey. She said, oh, honey, I was so happy when I heard you were coming. Then I read your chart and I thought, she's going to hate me. And I said, Dee, you got the pain drugs. I love you. Wow. So God, I know I'm supposed to learn something from this. I'm not quite sure what it is yet. I mean...
Crazy, so sorry. I mean, but you're on the mend.
Yes.
Yes. You're going to go back to Medjugorje.
Of course.
They are our good guy Aaron Chrysler is making sure you're going back. So
what a sweetheart.
Yeah. All right. Anything we haven't said?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Just God is good. He was in all of it. He really was.
No, you're all right. You're good. Okay, now we're good. We're smooth a little bit here.
So prayers for Patty as she's going. She's having surgery today. It might even be while I'm talking to you right now. But anyway, she's having surgery and is on the mend. So prayers for Patty if you'd be so kind. Okay. All right. So meanwhile, back on Apparition Hill, and this apparently this happens like once or twice a month that this kind of thing happens. Sometimes a little surprising. It's not more than that. But we're just about done. My son Stephen, my friend Danny Sheridan, and I are just about done.
Now step on this big rock here.
Yeah. And then
Perfect.
big drop, big drop.
Big drop down. Good. Okay, now
The end is near.
The end is in sight.
The end is near.
50 yards to the
The end is near.
street there.
Sorry, there was a rock that was moving, and so was I.
No panic.
I didn't need that toe anyway.
One more. A couple more steps here. Now this is literally the last step. So step onto terra firma.
There we go.
Terra firma. Okay, we're good.
I love you guys.
made it.
Love you guys.
We
Thank
made
you.
it. Okay.
Do you want cane?
So now we're gonna go down.
Well, a piece of cake, guys. I'm telling you, just a piece of cake. Wow. Thank you, Stephen and Danny Sheridan. I tell you, that was that was interesting, and it was one of those. Yeah. Then they said, "Well, do you want to do Cross Mountain now?" Which is only about 3 times higher. No, I'm good. I'm good with this one, Apparition Hill. But there's so much great history here, and the I mean, you see people who they will carry people up. They literally will do anything. If you want to go up that hill, there are people who will help you up that hill. Just like I received help. They'll make sure you get there. If they have to carry you, they will get you up there. So pretty darn incredible. Interesting day, right? Interesting day.
Sorry you're going to miss Matt.
You know, as interesting as this day was, this was not the most interesting day in Medjugorje. That would have to be the day of the cross, or carrying the cross, or seeing the cross, and then not seeing the cross, and it was disappearing cross, and what am I supposed to learn from the cross day? Okay? All right. So let me tell you about that. But first, let's pause for a quick Patreon shout-out. Thanks, Allison. Allison Fletcher has joined the Patreon family. Thank you so much for keeping all of this going, Allison. Appreciate that. Why do listeners make that jump from listening to supporting? Well, I was re-listening to episode 123 and Trucker Dan, and maybe this answer fits your answer.
Your podcast, you're so real, and it's not even really, no offense, it's not you, Trapper. It's everybody else when they call and hear the motions. Like I said, there are times I'm almost crying down the road where I might have to pull over sometimes because it's real. It's happening, and God is trying. I think He's trying to show Himself, and I think the leaders of all the denominations, of all the churches, I think they need to start sitting down and saying, we better start re-looking at God and what He does. Because I'll tell you, I don't feel comfortable sitting in a church. I hear the same sermon. If I hear another sermon about the prodigal son and walking away again, I could probably go crazy because I've heard every aspect of that. And I understand being the prodigal son. What about the lady I just listened to? I think it was episode 104. The lady who got into the Wicca. What about her? That's a miracle story. What about a lot of these people that have called you and said, this happened in my life and God revealed Himself. God sent me an angel. I didn't even think God was real. And look at what happened. And what you're doing is you're presenting a forum to allow people to say, God's working, and here's how He's working. He's worked in my life. He's worked in their life. He's worked in their life. It's not a coincidence. It's God.
Thanks, Dan. Maybe that answer touches a chord with you as well. If so, you can go to patreon.com, search for Trapper Jack, or you can come here to episode 231 at touchedbyheaven.net and just click your way through. The very first day, we were walking back from the church back up to Maria's place, and we saw some people singing and dancing on this little road, and we stopped, we're watching, and they seemed to be putting on a show for somebody, and somebody said, I think it's a priest, there's a priest over there. Well, it wasn't just a priest, it was an archbishop, and he's the papal nuncio. What does that mean? It means he's from the Vatican. It means the Pope sent him. It means this archbishop is heading up the investigation of all the things that go on in Medjugorje. And this guy was he He was such a delight. He was just beaming. He was just so happy. And we had this little group walking along, and he's blessing all of us. And he blessed me, and then he wouldn't let go of me. He was just, it's the cane, the white cane, just, it's like a magnet. But he was just hanging on. I said, I don't know what you have, but I want it. I'm leaving with you, you know. He was just such a joy, the papal nuncio. And then on another, and by the way, about the investigation, because people say, well, it's not an approved apparition. It can't be yet. They're still investigating. But it's interesting, back in 2010, it was Pope Benedict who put together a commission to look at the early apparitions, it's like I was talking about earlier in this episode, the early things that happened. And that commission, I don't know, there was some landslide, I'll make up numbers, 26-4, that they voted that, yeah, they're all in. They believe this stuff happened on, especially the early things. You know, that's what they were looking at. And then there was a bus trip we made to a church called St. Anthony's of Padua. The priest there, Father Peter, he gave us a special blessing and talk because he's the priest that when the 10 secrets have been revealed to all 6, right now, remember it's 3 of the visionaries have 10, 3 have 9. Anyway, when all these secrets have been revealed, then Mariana, who received all 10, actually within about the first year, back in 1982, I think. Anyway, she goes to Father Peter. Father Peter is the one who will be revealing to the world secret number 1, which apparently has something to do with Medjugorje itself. What does this mean? Let's say it's, and I'm making this completely up, there's going to be an earthquake and the bells will stop ringing because they're bent. I don't know. Okay. And it's going to happen at such and such a time, on such and such a day, and it's going to happen. And people are going to go, what? And then there's going to be secret number 2 released. And same thing, I think has to do something to do with Medjugorje anyway. And that will happen. And people are going to say, what is going on over there? Well, these are the secrets. What secrets? And then the third secret, we do know what that will be, at least some of it. There will be a permanent sign, said to be a sign for the atheists of the world to wake up. Last chance. A permanent sign placed on Apparition Hill, something you can photograph but not touch. They say, as an example, what if there was a permanent rainbow that you could see in the middle of the night? You know, something like that. So anyway, we got a special blessing from Father Peter and a talk from him as well. So that's all good. Now, let's get to this day with the cross. And this was one of those days where I left my recorder on without knowing it. I think we had left. I had turned it on, and I either thought I had turned it off or forgot I didn't. I don't even know what happened this day. But I was kind of wandering through the day with the recorder on without realizing it was on and picking up some things. Tuesday, October 11th, we'll just call that the day of the cross, day at the cross, day with the cross, day carrying the cross, and the day the cross disappeared. What was going on here? We're walking around St. James Church, and in the distance there is this, it's a statue that looks from a distance as if it might be Jesus on the cross, but it's not. As you approach, you see there is no cross. It's the resurrected Jesus. His arms are outstretched like he's on the cross, but he's not. And he's kind of opening his arms to all the pilgrims, kind of a welcome thing. Statue was put here in 1998, bronze statue, and we're walking up to it because one of the reasons is it's called also the Weeping Jesus because of the knee. There's no reason why this much water should be coming out of a knee, up to, say, about a quart a day out of just the knee. And so people come up with prayer cloths and tissues and such things, and they kind of wipe the knee and then take it to loved ones and there have been miracles that have happened out of that. So here's this 30-foot tall, bronze, resurrected Jesus, and we're going up there, and
you probably don't want to go up the steps. It's 2 steps, but if you just come to my right, you can just be on the side.
Okay, I'll be with you. Yeah, sorry. Oh, I this is an important part here. At the foot of this Jesus is the cross and the body of Jesus, the dead body of Jesus, and he's kind of embedded in the cross. He's not just nailed to the cross. He's like in it, embedded in it. The cross is him and he is the cross. It's all kind of one interesting artist depiction of this cross and Jesus. But then there's the resurrected Jesus, right? His arms outstretched, welcoming us. Okay, so that's the premise for this. Beth does the knee thing over there and wiping the knee. Our Australian friend, Angie, has come over and she's kind of pulled me aside and she has me looking up and says, look towards the heart of Jesus. And I can kind of figure out that and kind of see that. Got some people singing there. And I know she's praying for my miracle, that my vision be restored. A few months back when we decided, the very day Beth and I decided, along with Aaron Chrysler, who put this all together, the day we decided to do this, my vision, I haven't seen that well in 10 years. Like 10 years, like, wow, this is noticeable. This is a sign. Medjugorje is maybe there's going to be a miracle happening. And so she's praying for me, and I know that, and I'm praying.
What do you say?
Point.
You point. And she has me looking up to the heart of Jesus, if you will, and I'm kind of trying to figure where that is.
Beautiful. What I got was it's done.
It's done.
And it's done.
The miracle, it's already been written. It is done. The miracle will happen and all that. I don't know when that intersection is. I know it's down the road, and I fully believe that to be true, and I believed it for quite some time when I received a little message quite a while back that would be the case at a time when it most glorifies God. Then when we left, Beth took a tumble.
Oh, honey.
You okay? Oh, ouch.
Okay, just sit for a second if you're not ready. What'd you hit?
Bad knee. Her knee.
Dang it.
Just fit my pants. Oh, shoot.
Was it a curb? What was it?
Yes, it was a curb.
It'll be okay. It just hurts. It's my bad knee.
You want to sit or you want to come up?
No, I don't.
I got you. Just lean up.
It's okay. It's not walking on. It just hurts. No, it just hurts.
Messed up your pants, you say?
Oh, yeah. It's a good nice tea.
Yeah, so she's irony. 2 hours before, she was wiping the knee of Jesus. Now she's wiping her own knee, ripped up the pants and all of that. And then we get back to the hotel, and Maria herself kind of looks at her and goes, "What did you do?" And then makes sure that she gets, medical attention and all that to get herself all bandaged up and everything. But then we started heading down into the chapel, Maria's chapel, where she has the Daily Apparitions, which begins with Rosary. Then at 6:40 p.m. comes the apparition where Mary appears to Maria. So here's the Rosary going along in Croatian and Italian and all kinds of languages there. But this is where I begin getting very confused. I'm looking up and I see clearly, clearly as I can see clearly, there is a crucifix behind the altar. It's contrast for me. The contrast, the crucifixion against the light-colored wall. There's a spotlight on it, all of that, right? This is the third time I've been in this chapel, and the first time I've seen the cross. This is an easy cross for me to see. This is very simple. The first two times I didn't see it, and I said to my wife, I go, "Was that up there yesterday?" She says, "Of course it was up there." I said, "I didn't see it, or I didn't see it the first two times." And I know that God is up to something in this moment. He's taken away the cross twice to emphasize the fact, yeah, it's gone, and then brought it back. And what were the last words of Jesus on the cross? It is done. Didn't I just say that a little while earlier? It is done. It is finished. And I'm going through, okay, but what am I not getting? That I would be blanked out a couple of times. What's the message here? Am I not getting something about the cross? Am I not getting something about suffering? Am I not getting something about acceptance of suffering and all this kind of stuff? And it wasn't until later, and I was going through my little recorder here that I carry around with me to make audio notes, and I came across something our parish priest, Father Joe, had said months ago. It was months ago. And what he had said, he was talking about crosses, carrying crosses. And I hear him say, don't hang on to your cross so tightly that when it's time to let it go, you can't. Again, don't hang on to your cross so tightly that when it's time to let it go, you can't. Again, what? There are seasonal crosses. There are crosses that you carry for a while. Then you're supposed to be you've learned what you're supposed to learn, or that season passes. There are those crosses that we carry because we have responsibilities and such. But I'm talking about the crosses that we don't have to carry anymore. Don't hang on so tightly that when it's time to let it go, you can't. Well, that's kind of what we're talking about with the vision thing here, is that are we now at that time where, my analogy would be wineskin. You don't put new wine into an old wineskin. Well, I'm becoming more and more new wine, as you are, I hope. Well, you have these old wineskins, these old belief systems, and sometimes, we need a new wineskin. I've been living inside this blind wineskin for so long, it's kind of, it's part of the furniture, right? Well, maybe there needs to be a mindset change that it's time, it's done. We're getting really close to that intersection, so get ready, be prepared, because it's about time to take on maybe a new cross that involves being able to see. Our crosses change, our seasons change. Are you getting this? You know what I'm trying to say here? So this is what I believe Jesus is trying to tell me, is that it's done. We are nearing that intersection. And again, time is so different. My time and God's time, we all know that this could be tomorrow, it could be 5 years from now. I don't know what soon means. All I know is we're nearing an intersection, is what it seems that he's indicating. He's taken away the cross. He's taken away the cross. He took it away twice to make sure I understood. He's saying again, it's done, because back at that resurrected Christ, he's free. Yes, the Bible tells us, pick up your cross and follow him. That's what we're to do every day. But at some times, certainly with some crosses, it's time to let go. Is there a cross in your life, a burden, a suffering that should have been let go a long time ago, but you're still carrying that cross around with you? Why hang on so tightly? Is it time to let it go? And this has to do with a mind shift again. I'll tell you what, I have a link in the show notes to my Men's Morning Light video series. I do 20 minutes on this because this is important, not just for me, but for you, because it has to do with healing in so many different ways. And I go into so much more about what was on my recorder and this Father Joe and a lot of things. So if you want, there's a link here to the Men's Morning Light episode where I go into a deeper dive about Medjugorje and this cross and the resurrected cross and all of that. So there's a link to check it out if you'd like to. Okay, all right. So now we are at that time. We're at the time where Mary appears, as she has to Maria for the last 41 years, and she is there to give her a message. She's there to bless whatever articles or prayer intentions, and we included yours. We brought you with us, to Medjugorje with us. And then she gives us a little message, Maria does, about what Mary has said.
During moment of apparition when Our Lady came, I recommend to Our Lady all our intention, all what we have in our heart.
So she said that Mary came to pray over all the intentions that were brought there.
Especially we ask Our Lady and we pray for peace in our heart, peace in our family, and peace in our world. So every day we are praying for peace.
Croatian is her natural language, but she does pretty well with English. But again, praying for peace, praying for wars, and wars go on, and we kind of tend to become bystanders, don't we, instead of praying for an end to that war.
Hey, there's chairs over there. You want to sit down?
Yeah. Okay, here, Kathy. Okay, what's been going on?
Oh, my gosh. When she came last night, I could feel her. I started seeing these colors, these blues and greens. They were incredible. And from the top of my head, this tingling happened. Oh, I forgot the best part. I'm not Catholic, and people are always stunned by that. And they say, why don't you become Catholic? And I said, there's things I don't agree with the Catholic religion. And the biggest one is, I am never going to say I'm unworthy. At lunch yesterday, a girl sat in front of me, and she said, we are all so unworthy. And I go, do you really believe that? And she goes, she was taken back. She goes, of course, everybody's unworthy. And I thought on that all day, and I thought, I just don't agree. I just don't agree. I can't even wrap my brain around it. A lot of Catholic people are very, you don't get it till you become a Catholic. And I'm like, well, I get it, and I'm probably never going to be a Catholic.
As a Catholic, I'm enjoying this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't mean to insult you.
No, you're not insulting me at all. And you're getting married.
Oh, gosh.
She's mom, right? She's mom.
Before I came here, I didn't even know Mary. And then I read a lot of books about her, but it's so incredible. But yesterday when Mary came, that was so powerful. I felt a tear run down my cheek, and I said, I am not worthy of this. And it just For the first time, I knew what they were all talking about. I never got it till last night. And when all of a sudden, when she came up and I felt her and that tear came down my face, it was incredible.
Tell me who Mary is to you.
Oh, gosh. Mary is, has the cleanest, purest heart. And she's so peaceful. I mean, I felt that peace. It was like somebody putting a blanket over you on a cold night.
Thanks, Kathy. Okay, and I don't mean to rush the ending of this. There's more. There's so much more, and it will be told in episodes to come. But I want to get this posted. It's in the wee hours of the morning and all of that. So just some closing thoughts as my mush head tries to put some of this together here. First, Maria, the visionary, does not seek attention. She's a celebrity, obviously, in the world of Medjugorje, but she doesn't look for attention. In fact, she turns away from it. I asked her. I said, "Would you mind being on the podcast?" No. You know, I don't want to do that. As time went on, she seemed to be weakening a little as she saw me interacting with our folks and with Elizabeth and what we do. And I was told that she would do an interview, and then she decided to kind of talk to the group as a whole. You see her cleaning out the dishwasher. You see her cleaning the counter. She's just Maria. She doesn't look for attention. Will there be another Medjugorje trip? I'm sure there will be. Thanks to all the listeners who went. We had over 50 people there from the U.S. and Australia, and just everybody I talked to just loved it. And many of us are still there. I've never had a trip, and my wife said the same thing. We're still there. I wake up in the morning and I'm still wondering, where am I? Medjugorje is not a place you live for most of us. It's a place you pilgrimage to and then bring it back with you. And that's what I feel like I've done. And what is in me. What was Jesus' prayer before he ascended? Keep them all one. Well, we're a little scattered about, but when he reconciles everything, we all are at some point going to be one. And we got a little taste of that in Medjugorje, and it was very, very special. Oh, thank you, Aaron Chrysler. Aaron Chrysler from Medjugorje Pilgrimage.life, who just he's the one that made this happen and got the ball rolling, and maybe next year as well. We have a little time to kind of play with that thought. If you go, you know that Mary has called you, and Mary certainly called me to be there as well as Elizabeth. It was great. Well, when it comes to Mary, going 95 ain't scary because I do got the Virgin Mary. And what do you say that we take Mary's message to heart? You know, the one about praying for peace? How often do I do that? Actually praying for peace. There's that song, isn't there? Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. That's a good way to start, isn't it? But let's do pray for peace. Thanks, Mary. More to come on this. I know there's more to come. We're still processing, and there's just a lot. There are many more thoughts and insights that came along the way that I'll be sharing with you. And remember, again, Men's Morning Light. The episode is called Medjugorje, the New Jerusalem, and there's a link to it in the show notes. Okay. Thanks. See you next week, okay? Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God. I'm Trapper Jack, reminding you.
You can remember this when you're an old man now.